Confront the individual in the mirror and ask yourself, was that shit intentional? You are your creation. Is what you created intentional, or was that just a concoction of everything you've experienced in your life? You have to understand that the way you navigate the world, that is a reflection of your soul. And as the creator of your soul, to bound yourself and chain yourself to this false identification of a rotten ego, why don't you kill your ego and emerge as something new? You are the creator of your life. Most of you guys are operating from a slave to circumstance modality of existence. You are a slave to your addictions, your compulsions, and you have zero self-containment and self-control, and you have zero, mind. You lack consciousness as an individual. You guys are moving around unconscious, and you are operating from a state of social validation. Your behavior is seeking validation. You have to validate yourself through your conduct, but the current ego that you operate from, the ego that has all these deficits, but then projects instead of reflects, to sit there in your inadequacy, but then to project it externally instead of confront yourself and do some shit to fix some shit. You have to understand that you only live once. As time is decreasing as we speak, and the moment you just lost a moment ago, you'll never get back. And most of you guys operate from this state where you are unintentional with your existence, and where you are now is just a byproduct of you being conditioned to a certain degree, and this is what you were told you were supposed to do. Most of you guys feel empty inside, and it's because you're not living from your purpose. You have no purpose. You are a purposeless creature. You have no intention to grow. You have no intention to emerge as something new and decimate the weaknesses within yourself. You have no intention to create something and beautify yourself through your personal development. Most of you guys just unconsciously operate from a state of reactivity. You are a reactive animal. You are a reactive creature. You cannot contain, you cannot explain with rationality. You guys are social creatures, and the validation is what is controlling your mind. You guys seek to be validated by everything but yourself, and then you wonder why you always feel left out. You have to understand that the only validation is your character and conduct. And for you to seek validation in the without, aka not within yourself, but through other people, you are always going to conform yourself to other people's perception. And so you are no longer the master of your own mind. You are now a slave to other people's perception. And so you have to truly ask yourself, was being a slave to other people's perception intentional? And then you have to ask the question, do you intend to remain conforming to everyone's perception until the day you fucking hit the casket? Most of you guys don't even know why you act the way you act, but it's really because you've operated from a degree of navigating the world through other people's perception. And so you are this accumulation of just conformity, deformity, and abnormality. And so the reason you in the shadow of your behavior, when we look at your shadow, the reason you are addicted to the porn, to the vape, to the things you use to escape, is because you are the individual who is conformed to everyone's perception. And so when you are by yourself, you no longer feel validated because you needed everyone to validate you. And so when you look in the mirror, you don't see what you validated, you see what you conformed into by perceiving everyone else's false validation. And so that false validation has now created an unintentional low-level piece of shit, bitch. And now you have to live with that in your chest and your heart. And so when you move in reality feeling empty, feeling insecure, feeling like a low-level piece of shit, that is just a reflection of your barren-ass, empty-ass soul that never unveiled the veil to itself. And then now you're just this accumulation of shit, because you sat there and needed everyone else to validate you. And so now you don't validate yourself. You are now a slave to other people's perception. So what you need to do is confront that bitch in the mirror. And after you do that, you now present yourself with a opportunity to create something intentional. When you know you are not what you want to be, you can change within yourself and transform into what you want to be. And so as an unintentional creature who is conformed into everyone's perception to validate themselves, now it's time to look in the mirror and see what you disagree with and actually introspect on and reflect on what you want to change about yourself. And some of you don't understand that your conduct, how you behave, is a direct reflection of your internal world. And I'm not talking about when you conform to everyone's perception. I'm talking about porn addict, weed druggie, junkie, lost in life, empty ass soul, you, when it's just you in your room. That's who the fuck you are. The person so disconnected from themselves because they've conformed and infiltrated their own mind to conform to other people's perception to quote unquote fit in and fit the notion and go with the motion. Why don't you look in the mirror and become intentional with your existence? In the life you only live once, to validate yourself at the lowest level, which is through false validation of other people that is really just falsified to fit the narrative that they are performing in their reality. They're not actually moving with intention. They are performing for your perception. And so this is where you have to truly dissect and look at the depth of the individual. You guys are surface dwelling fucking hominids. You need to look in the mirror and truly ask, was that shit intentional? And then when you realize that you are just the accumulation of what the fuck, you believe was validating you as an individual, you now can embrace the opportunity to transform and grow as an individual. And so you will continue to feel empty. You will continue to be addicted until you look in the mirror and realize that the ego that you are currently inhabiting, because your habits reflect you, and so your ego is the one acting out these habits. You have to control your ego. You are not your ego. You are the awareness within the vessel. And so most of you guys are set at such a low level, you believe you're your fucking ego. And so this is where you become this limited creature stuck in this box that you will never escape. It's because you believe that your identity is what you are, but in fact you are just the awareness behind your identity, and your identity is just a social construct that you have been constructed and induced. This has been conduced into your mind from what you perceived and what you believed you should have done to feel whole within, which was receive validation, but you received it in the wrong package, which was through other people and their opinions, their false opinions, instead of looking at yourself, looking at the way you conduct yourself, and then breaking it down to ask, is this truly what your conscience, is this right? When you jerk off to porn, there is a certain feeling you get that this is weird, this is wrong. When you hit the vape and passively kill yourself, you have to understand that deep in your soul, to a certain degree, this is wrong. When you pick up a bottle and passively poison yourself, you have to understand that to a certain degree, this is wrong. And so you have to truly reflect on the creature that you are building and constructing and ask, is that shit intentional? And when you realize that what you've created is not intentional, you now have the opportunity to transform into something intentional, compound momentum, and grow into what you want to be. You have to confront your identity, because what you identify with is how you're going to behave. And so you guys want to quit the addiction. I want to quit weed, but then you walk around with a weed hat, a weed bag, a weed shirt, and you're 23, still living in your mom's house, broke because you spend all your money on weed. And so for you to succeed, you need to disengage with that identification and no longer believe that is you. You have to truly open a fucking notebook and write down every quality about yourself and how these qualities / identifications manifest through you into your daily habits that is actively creating your current paradigm. And so you have to understand that your habits create your habitat. And most of you guys are going to subordinate and coordinate yourself to realities you don't want to exist in, while always having the opportunity to become what you truly inspire to be, which was the best version of you. And so the reason you feel so empty is because you have a purpose and you have a light within you that you are supposed to shine, but you disengage the truth of your soul to be a performative, validation seeking bitch. So remember that you only live once, and every day you skip out on becoming the individual you need to be to relinquish that false ass identification of a low level fuck, to write down what you identify with that is keeping you in a lower state of consciousness. Disengage and stop identifying what is keeping you at a low level. Look at things that will up your rank as an individual. Look at habits that will construct you. Compound these habits over time and watch what you become. 3 a.m. we never missed. Everyday workout we never missed. The macro count we never missed. The pages from the books that we need to apply into daily reality we never fucking miss. And so you compound this over the years and imagine what you will become while disintegrating and decimating and completely obliterating all negative habits keeping you chained to mediocrity. You have to understand that what you identify with is what you are becoming, compounding, and growing. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And energy is the building blocks of your character. And if you put your attention / energy into negative things, you will be a negative person. And negativity is a destructive force of the universal, it's a universal force, destruction. And so negativity is going to reduce, subtract. You need to look at all your negative habits and see what is subtracting you as an individual, and you need to write them down, and you have to learn to control and contain your ego, because you are a slave to your body. You are not your body, you are the mind within the body. And until you can master yourself, you will be dragged around and you will end up in situations you don't want to be in, because you could not control the lower impulses of your animalistic being. You have to understand that you have to become the master of yourself, and you do this by disintegrating the lower qualities and compounding the higher qualities of self until you grow and compound and develop into something so formidable, primordial, and something so uncontrollable to the masses, to become the master of yourself instead of to be mastered by everyone else's perception. You have to understand that you are the accumulation of what you believed validated you as an individual. What your mom wanted you to become is what you became. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you can choose what you want to be, and what you want to be is not what you're currently being, because you wouldn't do what you do to yourself at 12 a.m. with the porn, with the alcohol, with the passively killing yourself through the negative habits and the way you behave in your own mind, to have no friction, no intention. You don't intend to do anything with your life. You have to understand that to intend and to have intention and to compound yourself into something more than you are is the definition of love. To unconditionally love yourself to the point that this is what you chose and this is what you're going to commit to, and every single fucking day you're going to compound your personal integrity to grow as an individual. That is what you call self-love. And if you're going to sit there with all these negative habits and do nothing to disintegrate and then reintegrate more positive habits into yourself, you will see that you, at the end of your lifetime or at some certain point, you will see the accumulation of mental etheric garbage that you have became because you never cleansed yourself. It's about becoming pure as an individual, and not none of this Catholic put me in some water bullshit, but the cleansing of your character, the development of self, the development of your soul, the growing of the person you are to become something more and to soar through the sky like a fucking eagle instead of some low-level fucking piece of shit, bitch, jealous fuck, insecure pussy that never wanted to reflect on themselves. Do yourself a favor, look in the mirror, confront yourself, confront the individual that you identify with, and then with the Rubik's Cube of life, keep fucking fidgeting with it until you get to the right colors you need. But if you don't even possess the ability to play with the Rubik's Cube, aka you are so locked in this box where you are the Rubik's Cube, you're not playing with it, you believe that you are the ego, so you don't believe that you can transform and change, you have to understand that you will remain that low level fuck. And so every limiting belief that you have is because you identify with something that is keeping you at a low level. And so you need to rid the low level identifications, and you need to amplify everything that is positive, remove everything that is negative, create and intentionally move through life instead of some fucking unconscious, subordinated, uncoordinated individual. You can become what you want to be as long as you commit to what you need to do to grow and unlock that character. You want to be instant gratified to the point where you said fuck yourself and now you're this low level piece of shit doing something they hate every day. You need to become what you were meant to be and live from your purpose, and you do that by confronting what is hindering that, and watch as the infinite flow of abundance, ruminates and contaminates and emanates from your fucking consciousness, from the way that you conduct yourself and grow through life. It's that fucking simple. Peace!